Good morning. NIO yesterday on a Sunday already reported the delivery numbers for April, and so let's go through these numbers and talk about a couple of concerns that I read online about these numbers. And first of all, yes, these numbers came in quite low at 5,000 cars, right? But remember a couple of days and weeks ago we had actually the news that the factory has been shut down entirely. And so any number better than zero is already kind of an improvement to this worst case. However, of course, yes, there is some concern around these numbers. Why did they come in lower than the actual 7,000 cars that they have been producing? So you might remember my video about this 200,000 car produced, which indicated that they had actually produced more than 7,000 cars in April, right? And so the question is, why didn't they deliver 7,000 cars? Is there maybe some sort of a demand issue? While we only could read about the COVID-19 outbreaks in certain regions and supply chain volatilities in this delivery update by NIO, there wasn't actually any input that gave us some arguments to think about these issues. William Lee later on came out in the app, in the NIO app, and also said basically the same thing. Due to the COVID outbreaks and the supply chain issues, we've been heavily affected, and he's basically thinking, wishing everyone to get out of this pandemic as soon as possible and to get back to normal situation and to stay healthy. And so here on Weibo, NIO also posted their delivery numbers, and here we can actually get a tiny bit more of information if we translate that, because they have been actually writing here that meeting the growing demand for orders requires us to further overcome the pressures brought about by the epidemic and the supply chain. Production is now gradually resuming. NIO is working with all parties, including partners, to produce more and deliver more. So this is actually the only place where I read about the growing demand and more orders, which is basically indicating that, of course, the current delivery numbers have not been impacted by a lack of orders, but rather by the quoted pandemic and supply chain situation. So the reason for only delivering 5,000 cars of the 7,000 produced may actually in this chart. So here you can see the different car companies like Li Auto, XPeng and NIO, and then where they are actually delivering those models. So this is actually in 2021 and just for the NIO ES6, but it's similar for the other models as well. You can see in Shanghai they delivered close to 7,800 vehicles, and that is by far the biggest, most important city here for NIO. If you look at XPeng for the P7, they have delivered most of the cars actually in Guangzhou, and for Li Auto, it is also similar in Shanghai and close by in Hangzhou as well. So you can see that NIO and Li Auto, they have a pretty much a focus or most of their customers actually sitting in Shanghai. And so my interpretation of this data here is that these cars have been produced on demand, on order. They didn't know that the lockdown will happen actually in Shanghai. So of course they took these orders and produced them for Shanghai, but then likely the cars that they had produced couldn't be delivered in Shanghai because of the lockdowns. Meanwhile, for XPeng, I saw the numbers were not that bad, and that could be explained by the fact that most of their cars could actually be delivered in Guangzhou. So that's their biggest base, and there of course this region already came out of the lockdowns, and so they shouldn't have that many issues to actually delivering cars. So I think this may explain the discrepancy between production that we know from the cars that have been rolling off and the deliveries. I think we will see those deliveries on top once Shanghai is opening up. NIO has also been working and busy on other parts. They have added numerous new NIO houses, NIO spaces, new NIO service centers, and battery swapping stations, as well as integrating different charging systems, which notably brings them now to 915 battery swap stations in China, 783 supercharging stations, 629 destination charges, almost 500,000 charging piles integrated by third-party partners as well, and 46 NIO houses and 360 NIO spaces all over the country. So unfortunately, this is the situation right now, that due to these lockdowns, NIO can only do so much and do a little bit of this background work here with some of the infrastructure built out that we can see, but not so much on the delivery and even limited on the production front, but now gradually resuming. The COVID numbers also in Shanghai are now coming down as well. Here you see the infections of people with high risk, and this is trending almost to zero. 6 out of 16 districts in Shanghai have now achieved the so-called social dynamic zeros, so they will be able to open up, and we see gradually more and more production actually resuming. But of course, it's unfortunately still a very fragile situation. If we have another outbreak, things could worsen quickly, and there is just no way for NIO to navigate around such kind of a lockdown, and it will impact not only production, but as we have seen also in this video, the deliveries on top of that in Shanghai specifically, which is the most important city for NIO. So that's it for now. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in the next one.